Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, episode 5 of We Are Finally Podcast. I'm a professional, I swear. I've been doing this a long time, I promise. So, I'm Rasen.
I'm Zach.
We're avocados at law. So, anyways, guess what I just finished?
Jessica Jones.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Actually, I was watching The Flash. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I
Season
was
2.
I was doing the CW. No, I'm not gonna watch those shows. Fuck
I
DC.
actually I actually do watch those shows.
Oh, are they good?
Yes and no.
Okay. I'll I'll take your word for it. Um, but yeah, we figured that we were just not gonna. We don't have much news to talk about really, or at least not anything that like we want to really talk about. Um, so we just decided to say fuck it and record an episode, just briefly talking about the shit that we've been doing recently, or like, I guess the stuff we've been going through and just what we've been having fun with. So yeah, like literally about an hour ago, I finished off Daredevil. I took a long time going through that, and that's because I was getting it through back alleyway means before, and then like I've had like more hours at work than I know what to do with, so I finally decided to bite the bullet and grab Netflix. So like I'm moving on to year like 2008 now with the rest of society. But yeah, Netflix is great. Finished off Daredevil because of that. It was a really good show. I liked it a lot actually. I think it's probably the best thing in that like shared universe so far, but I need to watch Jessica Jones yet too. So
I mean, they're both together. They're very much the best thing in that whole Marvel universe.
I think a lot of things for that, like reasons for that. I think the God, it's weird because like I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, it's darker and more mature, but like that kind of helps. I think um, it feels a bit more adult and not as. It's definitely not for a general audience, despite the fact that like it seems like they don't really swear, but other than that, they have no problem referencing horrible, horrible crimes or depicting it. Um, One of the characters' backstories is, yeah, I broke out of a gulag by taking apart a corpse's ribs and making a shank out of them. But they can't say fuck too many times, or at all, actually, possibly. So that's really weird, but yeah, the show is really fucking dark, and I liked that. It was great.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It feels like actually mature and not just trying to be mature.
Yeah. I think it was pretty tasteful, all things considered. There's definitely some, like, shock moments of, like, bad people doing really bad, gruesome shit. But, like, I think it handled it pretty well. So, yeah, that was great. I think also, too, other than just being darker, the fact that there's just overall more screen time, and I feel like the characters are a lot more developed just given the format isn't that of a movie, that you kind of need to condense everything down into like a 2 hour package. Like even you kind of watch the season, like the actual seasons in the show change. Like it gets colder and like people start to wear like winter clothing and shit as it goes on, and like it feels like there's a sense of time as it goes on, which is nice.
Yeah.
I think too what really sets it apart is superhero stuff as a whole is generally like taking a concept or ideology or something and personifying it into a single entity. And I think Daredevil's strength as a show is that it recognizes that, and you kind of get to see him formulate and develop that, which is why I think it is like an origin story, and I know that like a lot of comic fans and people hate that shit just because it's so retread so often, but because it's just so much more developed and fleshed out than what you normally get, just because it is like a 13 episode thing. I really didn't mind at all, just because I loved just when he was having conversations with kind of like mentor figures in his life, and just kind of you see his worldview kind of change and form as a result, and that's how he kind of decides what he wants to do, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah. It's one of the best shows of the past year, I think.
Yeah, I think it's even beyond a year. No, it has been 1 year, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more. I'm honestly I can't remember.
And season was I forget. Did that come out 2014 or 15?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
It might have been 2 years ago.
It's been a while. Been a bit, but
Yeah.
yeah. I know I need to watch Jessica Jones next, so I'm gonna do that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of weird because like season 2 of Daredevil is coming out in like I think 2 weeks, and I feel a little bit burnt out. So I'm like I kind of want to watch something else just to buffer it and then watch season 2. But I feel like if I'm not, I feel like if I don't watch Jessica Jones and then I go right into season 2 of Daredevil, like I'm probably gonna miss something and I'm gonna kick myself for it later. So
I mean, Jessica Jones didn't have too much of a connection to Daredevil at all. So I think you might be safe. There was a bit of like they were clearly connected, but you could have watched Jessica Jones without watching Daredevil and not miss anything. So I feel like maybe you should be fine waiting on Jessica Jones.
that's good to know. Hopefully season 2 is just as good as season 1. And also Jessica Jones. Like, hopefully that quality remains consistent, doesn't trail off. That'd be sad.
Yeah, I think we should be safe because that's two hits in a row. So I
Yeah,
can't see it like dropping off dramatically this quickly. Although you never know.
yeah, this is true. People have probably said this before with a lot of things, and it goes
Yeah,
horribly, horribly
like the
south.
Avengers.
Bam, 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 bam. Age of Ultron is a very confused movie.
Not a very good one.
Uh, that's a solid okay out of 10.
Yeah.
You tried sticker right on that DVD cover. Um, Speaking of DVDs, actually, I ordered a Zeta Gundam. Like the first half of it came out on a Blu-ray for the first time in forever. Cause like there's I think their name is like Right Stuff or whatever, but like they're taking all of like the various Gundam series, some of which haven't been released in English before, and well, I mean they're not like going back and doing dubs and stuff, but like they're distributing them with like official subtitles finally and stuff like that, which is really nice because some of the ones available on the internet are pretty crap. Either translation wise or just like, oh my god, why the fuck did you think these subtitles were okay to read wise? Because like they chose like dumb fonts and coloring and stuff, which is always the worst. So yeah, Zeta Gundam is like kind of the fan favorite, and like I went through and watched it like a year back, and I should actually probably still review that at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it, but I was like, I wouldn't mind paying $50 for this and the second part that comes out soon to just own it because it's a good series.
It
So
was $50 for the first half.
yeah,
Okay.
and that was the pre-order sale.
Okay. Because I
So
was just thinking to myself, you know what? I might pick this up, but I might
uh,
hold off on that price.
it
It's a
might
little steep
might
for
want
me.
it. It's definitely catered for fans of the series already. I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, I went through the first series,
Yeah,
and I've been meaning to get to Zeta for a long time now. But I don't know if I want to spend $100 on it before I know I like it.
it's an improvement. There's some that okay. That series I think is like. I mean, the writer Tomino has been kind of infamous for writing dark series, but also like he kind of alternates between writing really happy stuff and really like morbid and pessimistic stuff. And I kind of feel like sometimes the Zeta gets a little too cynical for its own good. Like there are some scenes in that series where I just watch and I'm like, man, this really sounds like this was like some short story that a 16-year-old who just got dumped for the first time wrote. Um, and like that's very specific because like man, he must have been having some form of relationship troubles going on when he wrote that series
Man.
because stuff goes south real quick. Um, but yeah, no, Zeta Gundam's good, so I'm waiting for that to arrive later in the week, and maybe I'll go ahead and rewatch that. I have another friend who wants to watch the original Gundam series, so I'm like maybe I'll go back through with him and we'll watch those. But yeah, other than that, it's all the TV stuff I've been doing. And then I guess moving along to games. Haven't been actually doing too much just because school and stuff. Like, yeah, school, lots of hours at work. I may or may not be doing like a web design internship thing. So that's exciting. But yeah, I've been doing the filthy casual thing and playing games on my phone between things. So I guess I'm not a real gamer anymore. I need to turn in the gamer card.
You betrayed us all.
Mm-hmm. Guess I'm guess I'm just a failure. I don't know where this is going. But yeah, so I wanted to go fast, so I downloaded Sonic 1, or I guess re-downloaded. I bought all the Sonic games that were on iPhone because he's my favorite character. No, because they were on sale for really cheap. So I downloaded all those back again and just decided to play through them. What I did not know is that Sonic 1, which is it came out on iPhone originally, and it was like a shitty. It was one of those ports that wasn't so much a port as it was like they downloaded the ROM and then made an emulator to run on the phone, sort of gig. Um, but what I didn't know is that they had a new programmer come onto that project and then redo the game, and it's actually really nice. And it's actually like aside from the control scheme, which I mean it's a phone game, so it's not for everyone. You might be able to attach a joystick, but even then, that's still probably uncomfortable. Yeah, that's the best version of Sonic One, and I'm kind of sad it's locked to being a phone game. Like
Yeah.
they need to release this version on other stuff because it's incredible. Um, so imagine Sonic One, but also like add in complete save game support, which is really nice because it's one of those games where you got a game over, you're just all the way back at the beginning. So that's real cool, especially with some of the later zones in that game because man, I don't know, some of you might be a little blinded by nostalgia, but Sonic 1, not good level design, especially later on. Those stages are bullshit.
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely the weakest of the original
yeah, it
games.
is. It's there are only six. Okay, actually, okay. This is my other favorite thing. So I was born. I went on Sonic Wiki, which is never a good idea. Don't do that. So one of my favorite things is in the Sonic One article. Someone wrote, "Super Sonic does not appear in Sonic the Hedgehog as the seventh Chaos Emerald was not yet introduced." Like
I mean, it makes sense.
I know, but the way that's worded, it's like they didn't plan that out. Like, like they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't always know Supersonic was a thing, and they're just like, we're gonna hold that seventh emerald for the second game. You fucks, no, um, no. So that made me laugh, but yeah, no, but Sonic One on iOS. I don't know if there's an Android version that does the same thing, but he added in save game support. He added in like a time attack mode, which I haven't even touched because I never really touched those. But after you beat the game, you unlock the ability to play as Tails or play as Sonic and Tails at the same time. And then if you beat the game again after doing that, you can play as Knuckles, which is a first
Wow.
officially, which is really neat. And the like I was really impressed with that because I'm like, wow, I knew that there was like a ROM hack that lets you do that, but I never knew that I never would have thought that they would make an official version that lets you do that, but it makes sense that they would. So I did some digging. It turns out the guy who made that ROM hack is the same guy that they got on board to do the phone version and like re-update it and make it not shit. So I'm like, okay, that's you never hear about that too often. Like ROM hacker gets hired to do an official thing.
Yeah.
So I looked at this guy's like history, um, and like he's knows what to do with Sonic more than Sega does, I think, because this all goes back to 2006 happens, which is as everyone knows the best year of Sonic in its history.
Can't think of anything wrong that happened that year.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was like the peak of the Sonic IP. That to this day, nothing has ever. That was the apex. Um, so this pile of shit was kind of overshadowed by the bigger pile of shit that came out the same day. But for Sonic's 15th anniversary, Sega decided that for the Game Boy Advance, I just want to keep everyone in mind, this is 2006, and Sega's like, yeah, Game Boy Advance. I think the DS was out for like 2 years at that point, but whatever. Maybe even three. I don't remember the timeline anymore. It's been too long. But Sega decides, you know what? Alongside this great Sonic the Hedgehog game we're making for PS3 and 360, why don't we go ahead and re-release a port of Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the original classic for Game Boy Advance? So they do, and it's riddled with problems. There are bugs. There are like the sound just sounds apparently god awful and like shit because they couldn't emulate Genesis sound properly. There's a bunch of glitches. You get stuck in scenery and stuff, and it's just awful. And apparently like the frame rate is inconsistent and terrible too. Uh, this leads to a lot of internet discussion with the people who bought it that are basically going like, well, it's you can't expect like a Genesis game to run perfectly fine on the Game Boy Advance, and people bring over Super Nintendo games onto the Game Boy Advance, and it's kind of a downgrade, and yada yada yada. That whole thing goes on. Cue this guy, and I don't quite remember his name, but I believe it's Christian. So Christian is pretty good with computers. It seems he's a pretty good programmer, and he just comes out and says that's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. I could make a better version of Sonic 1 for the Game Boy Advance. And people are like, "Oh yeah?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he goes and like a few months later releases a complete remake of Green Hill Zone as like a ROM people can go and download. And in addition to like not only running better than the official version of Sonic that Sega put out for the Game Boy Advance, it also adds in the ability to play as Tails and Knuckles. So that happened. um so everyone's kind of like really impressed by this, and like it's like holy shit that just happened. So in addition to proving Sega wrong, like it kind of shows off his skill or whatever as like a game maker. But then people kind of start talking. They're like, "That's really cool what you did with putting Knuckles into Sonic One because back in the day with the Sonic 3 and Knuckles like lock-on technology thing, Sega always said like we wanted to add Knuckles into Sonic 1, but we never could just because the technology wasn't there." So people are getting to talk, and they're like, "You should make a ROM hack that adds Knuckles into Sonic 1." And he kind of looks around and kind of investigates how to do it, and he thinks he figures out a solution. And like there's some weird color palette stuff going on, if I recall, with like shades of red in that game. But he manages to pull it off, and he makes a pretty decent ROM hack where you can play as Knuckles in Sonic 1. Um, so that's two great things that he did for the Sonic community. Years upon years later, the iPhone version of Sonic 1 comes out, and once again, the port is all fucked up and terrible, and he goes, "I could do a better job." So Sega just said, "You know what? Wanna be hired officially," and they brought him on to do the project. And he created the best version of Sonic 1, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's quite a story.
Yeah.
I kind of hope maybe they get him to work on a new Sonic game.
Oh, yeah. Sonic Boom 2, right?
Yeah, that's definitely what I'd like.
Hell
I
yeah.
definitely would like that and not a new
Exclusive to
Genesis style
PlayStation
Sonic
Vita.
game. Yeah, okay. No, I mean that's great. I definitely want to check to see if it's on Android too because I don't have iOS. But yeah, Sonic One, it's a game that needed that level of polish, I think, because going back to it without it is rough.
I mean, look, Sonic 1's a game I go back to every now and again because he's my favorite character. No. It's the birthplace of my hero. No. But like I don't know why. Like I think that was the one I played the most as a kid. I never had a Genesis, but like I'd go over to
Uh,
my friend's house and he had a Genesis and he was really into the Sonic stuff. So like we played Sonic 1 a lot, we played Sonic 2 a lot, Sonic 3 and Knuckles less so because when we were dumb kids with shit opinions, that was our least favorite one and I don't remember why.
it's
Um
my favorite one.
it's my favorite one now that I grew up and have taste, but like as a kid, me and him didn't like that one for whatever reason, and I don't know why. Um, but yeah, we would always play Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, and like I always kind of like just every couple of years on like an emulator, I'll pop in Sonic 1 and just play it again. And like, man, that version, like the only thing I'm missing, and like you can't really put this in an official version, is like I like to play Sonic with save states just to fucking get the Chaos Emeralds because like fuck those special stages. Those are still awful. I hate those. Those are the worst special stages in anything ever.
You say you can't put that in an official version, but the PSN versions have it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Maybe those are the best version. No. Uh, yeah, they should more stuff should just add those for old games because like I'm sorry, I just have a really hard time believing when they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the best version of this game that we put out on Virtual Console or whatever." And it's like, "Yeah, but I could download an emulator that has a bunch of different visual settings. Like I can save state, I can record AVI directly to my computer. Like it's kind of hard to justify spending money for like something that's right there and has more features, even though it is not official and illegal. But yeah, um, more stuff should just emulate emulators. That's a sentence I never thought I'd say.
It's a
Uh,
good one.
yeah, but so yeah, that was my experience with Sonic One, which like the game itself is like, despite all the polishing up and stuff, like the game itself is still, yeah, it hasn't aged all that. I honestly think that the level design of that game is the most atrocious thing. Because, like, Green Hill Zone is like, fuck yeah, I'm going fast and this is the best thing ever. And then, like, every zone past that, it's like, if you go fast, you're just going to die.
Well, I mean that's kind of Sonic in general, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's a problem because I feel like in like the Genesis Sonic games, speed was more the reward than you know what I mean? Like you were meant to play the levels over and over again and kind of memorize how they worked, and then you knew when you could go fast and when you had to platform.
Yeah, I suppose. It's like there's that, and then also there's the fact too that there are some levels where it's like, hold on, you need to wait for this wall to like there are some levels that just actively stop you from going fast too. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's true. Definitely, I think Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 polished the level design a lot more,
oh yeah,
but they
they're
still
way
had a
better.
lot of the whole like past level 1 you really can't just hold right and jump and expect to win,
Yeah,
which I liked about those games.
good times. Shame everything went downhill after three.
Oh no.
I'm afraid to play the adventure games again because I know that they're not. I know they don't hold up. I just
They
I want
it
them to.
depends on Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I want them to remain the perfect things that they were from when I was a kid.
Okay, they're not that.
Yeah,
But it depending on what you go in expecting, you could still enjoy your time with them. But yeah, don't go in expecting them to wow you like they did in the 90s.
the only official Sonic games that I like still own physical versions of anymore are Sonic Battle and Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh,
One of
I'm
those
so
games is
sorry.
good.
I'm so
I
sorry.
think I should pop in Sonic Battle. We should have a Sonic Battle tournament. Everyone come over to my place. I'll make pizza rolls.
Oh man, I did you play Shadow the Hedgehog?
Oh, I got every ending.
Yeah, me too.
Woo. That
We're
game
cool.
is. Yeah, we are. That game is. I remember getting that the day it came out and playing through it and just going like, why did they think this was a good idea? Because I remember leading up to it, I had the Nintendo Powers and I read all the interviews with like, yeah, we gave them guns and there were aliens attacking, and I was just like, oh, okay, okay, and like this looks intense or whatever. My young self said, but I was confused because it's like this doesn't sound much like a Sonic game. Then I played it and I'm like, it's a Sonic game, but it's not.
It's
It's
a really
something.
bad one.
Yeah.
Damn, not here.
I think that was the game that finally cemented, like, okay, Sonic's in trouble now as a franchise. Because Sonic Heroes was like, I know some people say, like, oh yeah, the hero route is good, but, like, I didn't think so.
It had good moments, but overall the package wasn't very.
I thought the final boss was neat, and that's the only thing I can remember fondly back about Sonic Heroes. um, oh, and the opening.
See, I was the kind of kid that like I would play the game and be, well, this one was bad, but I'm sure the next one will be good. And I remember reading like magazine interviews about Sonic 06 and hearing them talk about it and being like, this is gonna be the greatest game. This is gonna totally redeem Shadow the Hedgehog. This is gonna, oh, I cannot wait for this. There's gonna be a day and night cycle. Oh,
Silver the Hedgehog looks like the most innovative new
oh
character yet.
yeah.
Why do they still use him? Okay, so fucking there's a Nintendo Direct recently, which we're not going to talk about really, except for this apparently because we're pieces of shit. Um, I fucking yeah, Sonic and Mario go bake hot dogs at the fucking Olympics or whatever. 15 is coming out. Why do they still have Silver in those games? Does anyone like him? What's
No.
the point? Why do they keep putting him into shit? Because I remember he was one of like the core three people or whatever that they're like, yeah, Sonic Rivals or whatever the fuck that was for PSP. And then
Yeah.
like they just kept ever since like that too. It's like, why do they keep putting him in more games?
It it made sense for Generations to bring him back because they were going through everything, but he shouldn't be around anymore.
If Sonic Generations was true to its title, that game would have literally been like a microwave hallway sequence from MGS4, but in like Sonic game form.
That's a sentence. You're gonna need to elaborate on that one a bit.
It should get more and more painful and horrifying and tragic
Oh,
as it goes on.
gotcha.
And then by
It
the
kind of
end, you just
does.
want to die.
I mean, to be honest, like the first half of the levels of Sonic Generations are way better than the only good level in the second half of Sonic Generations is the one from Unleashed.
My favorite thing about Sonic Generation, I didn't like Sonic Generations, but I know a lot of people do.
I like
Um,
it a lot.
my favorite thing about Sonic Generations is that game should have been called Sonic 4, and Sonic 4 probably should have been called Sonic Generations. Because I think Sonic Generations succeeded at being Sonic 4, and Sonic 4 was just kind of a thing.
Yeah, Sonic 4, like Sonic 4 at the time, they were like, yeah, we're gonna call this game Sonic 4 and it's gonna be awesome. I guarantee you, everyone at Sega now hates themselves for calling that one Sonic 4.
If I
Like they
recall,
really wanted
too,
to save that name
that
title. They
was
couldn't.
supposed to be like a 5-part thing or something, too, right? And they came out with two, and I think they just like, yeah, we're done here.
I don't think they ever specifically said how many parts they wanted to be, but they definitely implied it was gonna go on for more than two.
Yeah. I could have sworn it was 5, but I think part of that is just me being used to like that nice round telltale number with episodic stuff. Um,
Ah, it was such a waste to call that game Sonic 4. I didn't even hate it. It was okay, but it shouldn't have been called Sonic 4.
I still can't wait. One of these days we're gonna get Super Mario Brothers 4. That'll be neat.
Yeah,
It'll probably be lost on everyone because like
the new Super Mario Bros. Stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but who knows? Maybe someday.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's. I don't have any more Sonic talk in me, I think. But we'll talk about Chaos Emeralds later. But um, other than that, the only thing I've been playing was I downloaded the most innovative shooter that I've played in years. So I played Super Hot. That's a really damn good game, and okay, I have a lot of complicated feelings on Super Hot. I really don't. Like, it's a good ass game, but at the same time, I know a lot of people are like, I want to wait for a sale or I think it's too expensive because the single player campaign that it comes packaged with is about 2 to 3 hours long, depending on how you like to do things. And a lot of people see that and they go like, "Oh, I don't want to pay like 25 or however much dollars it is for like just 3 hours worth of stuff." You unlock so much stuff after that campaign ends. The campaign is really more so like a tutorial than an actual like single player stuff because all of the meat of the game is in like the endless wave mode that they have and like you even starting from as soon as you beat the game you unlock like a katana only run and as you progress through that you unlock different challenge modes and like speedrun modes and just a bunch of different shit that you can do that really makes up the core meat of the actual game because the story is neat and cute and everything but like the actual gameplay is what you're there for and it really reminds me of when Mirror's Edge first came out. Pretty much everyone loved that game, but they were like, "This might not be worth $60 for you." But what I will give Super Hot Over's Mirror's Edge is that when you beat Mirror's Edge, you really don't unlock much of anything other than like these really vague, abstract challenge things that like don't last too long. With Super Hot, you actually unlock the majority of the game after you beat the single player. But yeah, it's really neat. I guess I should get into more in depth in terms of like what it actually is.
Yeah, I actually have no idea.
Oh, you really? You've never heard
Yeah,
of it before, or?
I've heard the name, but I've never looked into it.
Okay, so Super Hot is people call it a shooter, people call it an FPS, but I'd feel more comfortable calling it like a puzzle game that controls like a shooter. So the idea behind Super Hot is it's very like it's like a indie game sort of deal. So like you're in an abstract world, everyone's kind of like you know the fighting polygon team from Smash 64?
Yes.
Everyone's one of those, and when they get injured, they like shatter like glass. So basically everything like just shatters in one hit sort of deal, or at least people do. The idea behind Super Hot is that time only moves when you do. So the objective of the game is to clear out all the entire map of enemies, and you get like various FPS weapons. Like you get a handgun, a shotgun, assault rifle. Keep in mind, you usually don't start with these. You usually start barehanded and need to acquire these weapons by beating the shit out of enemies first. So, like, you have basically what goes on is you start a level, enemies come at you, and you just need to like use your time powers as best as you can to get the upper hand and just survive because everything, like I said, everything dies in one hit. So it plays out more like a strategy game than it actually does like a reflex-based shooter because there's really no reflex stuff involved because you can just stop time whenever the fuck. And it doesn't completely stop just because that would be probably too easy. So like it moves at like a fraction of like it barely moves. But it does it's pretty much like really hardcore slow motion instead of an actual true pause. But yeah, so you get stuff like you start a level. This is like probably my favorite example. You start a level, and you're in an elevator with three armed men, and one of them just has a gun to your face. Solve the problem, sort of deal. And like stuff like that happens, and like you can disarm enemies by like hitting them. If you throw something at them, you'll also disarm them, and then you can catch their gun in midair. Eventually, you start to unlock more shit. Like halfway through the single player, you unlock the ability to swap bodies. So if you're just completely fucked in a situation, like you're being shot at, and like you just have nowhere that you can run or hide to, you can just hit like F or whatever the fuck it is to swap bodies, and you just swap into an enemy and take control of their body instead, and then your original body just explodes. Uh,
That sounds super cool.
it's super hot.
Oh,
Bam, 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 bam. Anyways, uh, but yeah, it's really neat. Really smart gameplay that lasts for quite a while. Like there's a lot of fun like achievements and stuff too that you unlock. Like you get the traditional like kill an enemy by jumping on them and stuff like that. But probably the one that made me laugh the most was if you throw a katana and then kill like three enemies with it, you get like a shish kebab like achievement and stuff like that. I thought was really funny. Um, but yeah, it's just a neat little game, and like there's like a basically the story of the game is uh well, I guess I should clarify too. The whole main menu looks like a PC terminal, like an ASCII PC terminal thing, and like the story is basically your friend sends you a message that goes, "Hey bro, download superhot.exe. It's the coolest game." And then like you download a fake crack for a fake game called superhot.exe and you start playing it. So like the game is actually like a game within a game is how they justify it. And it involves like it evolves into this like government conspiracy thing. And it's really cute and funny and it gets meta and it's great. But yeah, most innovative shooter I've played in years.
that PC only, I think.
PC and Xbox One, and I think they said they were looking into other stuff, but
Comes out on PS4, I'll definitely check that out.
yeah, I hope it does. That would be the perfect game for like I mean it's already on Xbox One, of course it'd be great for PS4 as well. Um, the only like issue I okay, two issues I have with the game. One, because it is a first like you're completely first person. Sometimes it's hard to tell how wide your hitbox is. So when you're trying to maneuver around someone with like a shotgun or assault rifle, it's like I hope I don't accidentally clip this bullet with my hip and like just automatically die and game over. Um, and then the other thing is kind of like a non-issue, just because it would probably make the game too easy. But there are a few times where you're just completely fucked, and it's like, man, if I had a crouch button right now and I could just duck the thing coming at my face, I would be fine. But my character can't. Apparently, it's Peace Walker. You can't. Or wait, no, no, that never mind. In Peace Walker, you couldn't crawl, not you could crouch. Anyways, it's reverse Peace Walker, so like you have to just stand up all the time. uh, and that's kind of annoying. But that's being said, if they added in like a crouch or something like that, it would make the game probably way too easy because you could just maneuver past everything. But yeah, it's a fun game.
It's super hot.
It's super hot. I do think it's worth the price that it's being offered at. I could understand why people don't. I understand why people don't, even if they take into account the whole like extra content and stuff that a lot of people seem to be missing out on. But like, yeah, I kind of cringe a little bit when people are like, oh, it's only 2 to 3 hours worth of stuff, and like it's that much money. That's absurd. And it's like, well, there's actually like more to it than that, but whatever. Um, but yeah, like even with the extra stuff, I could see someone going like, maybe I'll wait for a sale. And yeah, I do recommend that you and by you I mean both you and the listeners, check it out if possible. Hopefully, it comes out to PS4 so more people can play it.
Yeah.
Actually, that's another thing I'm going to complain about real quick, and I know it's an indie game, but like, my laptop's pretty, I'd say pretty standard. That game is like all polygons and stuff. Man, my computer sounds like it's about to start on fire every time I play it longer than an hour. It's really unoptimized.
It's a shame.
It really is. Hopefully, they patch that and make it better something, but yeah, that's it for the stuff I've been playing. Really only Super Hot and Sonic.
Yeah. So I guess to move on to the thing I've been playing.
Yeah.
Um, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14. New patch came out, patch 3.2. Whenever a new patch of Final Fantasy comes out, it kind of becomes all I really play for that month. Uh, the last few patches have been a little bit disappointing for me. Pretty much everything post Heaven's Ward has not been all too much fun, but I've stuck with it.
Isn't that kind of like the community overall response to those patches?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, there's a lot of people who will defend them, but personally, for me, and I know a lot of other people, we started getting burnt out. There's been a lot of problems. I'm not going to go into all of them, but this new patch kind of really fixed a lot of it. It brought out a new raid, a new boss fight, and like it brought out the next level of progression for everyone. But all of the steps along the way are actually fun this time again. So I've been enjoying going through that. All the content's both challenging but also fun. So that's really great. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. It's I'm glad my MMO is fun again, but I wish I didn't spend so much time on it sometimes.
That's why you need to quit, and me and you can start playing Destiny, the Taken King.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, real talk, I had a coworker or whatever that was like venting to me about why Destiny sucks now, and like it was the most awkward thing because I'm like, I don't want to hear this right now. I just want to work, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna quit for Destiny ever. Funny thing, you're not the only person who has suggested that to me.
Oh, oh no. Hopefully,
But
hopefully, I'm. Were they also ironic?
not entirely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, man, I wish I could get involved. Like the last game that like I really had that was like a. I have commitment issues is basically what I'm going with here. The last game that I really got invested in, like sunk a bunch of time into, was like when I spent like probably it's probably close to 300 hours now in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I really got into that for a while, but like ever since then, like I haven't had a game that I could just go hit up and go back to. Even recently, picked up Battlefield 4 on a sale just because I'm like I like Battlefield games and they're in terms of like first person shooters, they're like the big one that also is like not for idiots so much, but even then I'm going to be a little bit elitist and say that some of the more recent Battlefield games have kind of turned, I think, things a little too accessible for the worst in some cases, and just kind of made things for idiots. But other than that, and my elitist griping, yeah, Battlefield 4 was fun, but like I didn't really stick to it. Got kind of repetitive, even though like I bought it in like a bundle that came. It was like even cheaper because I have PlayStation Plus and stuff, so I was like, I might as well pick up just some random shooter. And I stuck with it for a few days, but then yeah, I kind of bailed out on it just because it got a little repetitive after a while, and I don't really have any friends to play it with. Um, Street Fighter V came out then, and I played that for a little bit around launch day, but then like college and stuff happened, and like fighting games are hard to play around a schedule, man. Because like, I mean, okay, so the thing with fighting games, especially Street Fighter V, because like it released and there wasn't many modes, and that was a controversy for whatever reason. Um, and I mean I get that, but at the same time, like I'm one of those people that play fighting games for like the whole community, actual fighting game part. But yeah, so like kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because it's like, oh, you can go into training mode and actually learn how to play and do the thing and get better, and like I don't have the time, or when I do have the time, I feel like doing something else. Um, or you could spend a couple minutes just going into like online battles and facing people that actually have been training and know their shit. And like you do learn stuff from doing that. It's just that like you don't progress as much as actually just training on your own and setting aside time to do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
I
during the
think
summer.
yeah. I feel like personally for me, I've always kind of been looking for a very long time for that kind of game that I can always go back to. Like I've always wanted an MMO or any kind of consistent online game that I could always fall back on when I had nothing else to play, and none of them ever really stuck with me. I would put like 20, 30 hours into them and they would lose me. If anyone else is like looking for that, I would recommend trying out Final Fantasy 14. It caters to a lot of different types of players. Like you could play it hardcore or you could play it casually, and you'll have content consistently added for that playstyle. And it's a really good game. Like it's solid on its own. If you're a fan of Final Fantasy, there's also a lot of they take a lot from previous games and use it. So like all of the big bosses
Don't you
are
literally go to the world of darkness at some point?
yeah, there's a 24 person thing that was like you went through the Crystal Tower and then you went into the world of darkness.
That's for like me and five other people. I
Yeah.
love that.
And there's a huge big boss battle against the Cloud of Darkness.
Oh my god, that actually is the best thing.
But like they take from all of it. Like the new fight that was just added is the Fiend from Final Fantasy VI, and then you're gonna fight the other members of the Warring Triad in future patches. And there's just tons of stuff like that. They have the Gold Saucer from Seven in there. It's like basically a love letter to the entire history of Final Fantasy.
It's the Final Fantasy 9 of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn.
And then all of that on top of being like a solid MMO as well. Um, so yeah, I would recommend if anyone's looking for that kind of game with an online community they can always go back to, at least look into it. It really grabbed me, and I've been playing it since 2013. So
That game looks fucking great, and if it didn't have the subscription, which is like my one like like I would totally be all over that because like
yeah,
I've literally every single person I've ever known that has like played that game has had zero complaints, and the complaints they do have is like, oh, the people that play this game are fucking dumb and I hate them, which isn't the game's fault. So, um,
but even then, I mean, with the majority, like I get very frustrated with people, but there's always people that you could find that aren't. So you just have to kind of stick with it.
is that one of those issues that it's like if you have friends to play with, that's not even a thing?
Yes and no. Personally for me, I've got like a small group of friends I play with, but whenever we do the hard content, we need to fill our party out with other people on the server because we don't
Oh,
have enough of just personal friends. Speaking of which, if anyone's listening plays on Gilgamesh, um, my character's name is Kai Kario, which is also my Twitter handle. So, meh. Um, but yeah, it gets frustrating sometimes when you're trying to fill out a party and the people that join either don't listen or are jerks. But you also find really great people as well. So it's both an issue and not an issue.
this brings me horrifying flashbacks to a Skype group I was in that had four people that play League of Legends, and or I don't remember. I don't know how League works. They had just enough people to play League of Legends that like whenever they went into games, they'd be matched with one stranger. They would always add that stranger to the group. Man, I met some interesting people that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, my Skype block list grew quite a bit. Good times. That was like 4 years ago. Holy shit. Um, but yeah. But
Yeah, I do get what you mean about the subscription fee, and it's hard sometimes when it's like, oh, I guess I'll spend that $13 again. But I feel like they updated enough to where I don't feel like I'm being cheated out of things. Like they're always
yeah,
adding content.
like the stuff too, because like I know some people don't like subscriptions and stuff are there to like keep the game going and stuff like that too. And I mean, for
Yeah.
something that it's like making that new content isn't like cheap. You know what I mean? So like
Oh, yeah.
I totally get why like they do that, and like that's kind of a thing that the majority of MMOs do, at least the quality ones.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I would definitely rather pay $13 a month than start up a MMO and find out like my inventory is cut in half because I didn't spend $20 on the inventory expansion.
yeah, like stuff like that is like don't even like I think
Yeah.
stuff like that is stupid. Or even too from what like I've heard like from what I've seen or at least heard, a lot of the like free to play E ones, even if they do have like a premium, uh, like a big premium subscription thing. A lot of them just will reskin content and then like repackage it as like a quote unquote update, and it's like, oh, that's dumb. Uh, but yeah, like the only other game of like this ilk that like been wanting to get into, and actually like I should probably get going on this again is Monster Hunter. Seems like it's right up my alley, and like when I've played of it, I loved it. It's just I never really stuck with it for whatever reason. And like the new one's coming out soon, so I should play more 4 before that comes out. I don't know, like I've always had this thing where it's like I like MMOs in theory, but like the few times I did try them out and play them, like they weren't super my thing. FF14 actually seems to address a lot of like my gameplay problems with MMOs,
Yeah.
at least. But like it seems a little bit faster than what I've experienced when I was a kid and stuff. Like
It is. I had a conversation with someone recently where when I mentioned that it's MMO, they still picture like, oh, so you're standing in front of the enemy, hitting your attack button, but like a lot of the fights in FF14, especially later on in the harder content at like in game, they feel more like action fights. Like you're running around the arena dodging things. Like the new fight, he gets huge and he like tries to knock you off the platform, and you have to run around and avoid the fist and everything.
I think it was Katsu who linked me to a video of someone with like a Dark Knight. I don't remember what it was. Someone with like a something that used a sword to some class. They're basically doing Devil May Cry shit. It was pretty intense.
It was probably Dark Knight.
Yeah, I think it was. Um, no, but yeah, I think Monster Hunter and Dark Souls kind of fall into that thing of me. It's like these take what I like of MMOs, but take like shift it into genres or gameplay styles that I prefer more. I'd like to see more games that do stuff. Like I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, everything just takes from Souls games now," and but like I actually would like to see more like player interaction stuff done in the vein of like a Souls thing, where it's like, and this is gonna sound really douchey, but like I like games that kind of take a single player thing and then like add a multiplayer component onto it in like a way that feels not imposing or like it's detracting from the game at all. Like kind of making a single player game first that's really solid and then adding good multiplayer on top of it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, well, speaking of Souls, how about Slashy Souls? Am I right?
Oh, the best game.
I can't believe that's the thing that Namco actually made.
It's so frustrating because of there are so many things you could do with a low budget phone companion app for Dark Souls
When
3.
Dark Souls 1 came out, one of the first things that that team was said was like we'd love to make a Souls game for like mobile. And then they kind of quit from what I've heard. They kind of quit that idea just because like Dark Souls kind of for better or for worse came the face of like hardcore true gaming whatever. So then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh no, we're not going to do phone stuff then or whatever because you know,
Yeah.
that's how the internet works." But yeah, so like we finally get the closest thing to a Souls phone game, and it's like a runner or something, and you slash things, and it's called Slashy Souls, which is the worst title for anything I've heard in a good while.
That's a pretty garbage title.
And it wasn't even like From Software wasn't even involved. It was just the same publisher. Yeah, phone games are fun.
Mm-mm.
But no, have you been doing anything else other than FF14?
Well, I've spent a very large amount of my time this past month watching Critical Role.
Hell yeah. So have I. So have
That
I.
is
Very
that is
large
awesome.
time. Very large time because those episodes are fucking long and there are a lot of them.
3 to 5 hours each.
Yeah. Whew. I think the shortest episode is actually 2 hours long. It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, describe Critical Role for people because I have a feeling a lot of people listening don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was until you told me about it. But Critical Role, for those who don't know, is a web series where a bunch of voice actors that you probably know from video games and anime get together and play Dungeons and Dragons. It's
Which is the
awesome.
nerdiest premise for anything that has ever existed, and I love it.
It is, but when you actually watch it, like it doesn't feel too nerdy.
It feels like a bunch of friends having like a get-together party, but like they're also acting on top of it.
And I think that's what really helps push it through is that it's not really just a Dungeons and Dragons game. Like there's legitimate acting going on, and it makes it like you get involved in the story and the characters.
Which is weird for considering what it is, because you start it like, oh, this will be a dumb little fun thing, and then like characters start to get injured, and you're like, oh shit, I hope they don't die, and it's like, what the fuck am I
Yeah.
doing? I actually care. Fuck me.
And then Matthew Mercer says that they encounter something awful, and you go, ooh.
It's really good.
It,
It's honestly one of my favorite like web series things to follow up on in
yeah.
recent memory. It started last year, and like I only started probably like a month or two ago, just because I basically kind of it grew an interest in like DMing for tabletop RPG stuff, and like we'll get more into it a little bit later. But I kind of a lot of the tabletop community have been praising this show, so I decided to check it out, and it's like this is like the thing for getting people into like that whole medium of like games just because it's such a strong I think it's such a strong depiction of what it's supposed to be,
yeah.
like actual role playing, and how it's like it's not some weird thing. Like it can be cool and fun too if everyone is doing their part, which is neat.
Yeah, definitely. It's so entertaining to watch them. Well, so the only thing that's slightly weird that might be off-putting at the beginning is that the game that they are playing, they actually played it for like 2 years before the show started.
Yeah, you start right in the thick of things, and that's really off-putting at first. I actually think the first two episodes are kind of hard to get through just because like well, for the first episode, you don't know what's going on. For the second episode, you kind of get like a better sense of the characters, but then there's no combat for the second episode,
Yeah.
which is weird because like that's one of like three episodes where they don't fight anything, so they literally just go around talking to NPCs, and that's kind of weird. But then like starting from episode 3 and onward, it goes places, and you start to get a better sense of what the show is.
Yeah, and they do. I think also around episode 3 is when they kind of start explaining the previous events. So like they talk a little bit about it at the beginning, but around episode 3 or 4, there's a moment where they kind of go, "Oh, like this is everything that happened up until this point." So that helps a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And like they do this thing where eventually they do bring in like these little slideshows that have all the characters' backstories done in like the own character's narration, which is pretty neat and
yeah.
helps to explain things. Sometimes the fact that you don't know shit is kind of fun because like in the same way you watch a TV show and like they reference some incident that like you just don't see, but
Oh,
they
I
know
know
about.
exactly what you're thinking about. I think.
Hey Keyleth, remember the time you killed that kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like so like they'll reference shit that happens, or it's like, oh yeah, remember that time Pike died, and it's like, wait, what? And like it's because I mean they've been playing an actual like well they started with the tabletop system called Pathfinder, but then when they decided to actually stream it as like a web series, D&D 5th edition is, from what I understand, or at least this is their reasoning for it, a faster system when you have a larger party. So they're just like, we'll make it more efficient just as a storytelling show thing and just move over to the system. So like they had a Pathfinder campaign going, and then they're like, okay, let's make a show out of it on Geek and Sundry's Twitch channel, and it's been going, and it's pretty awesome. Like I think they're almost at episode, I think they're like about episode 43ish or so.
Yeah, right. Like they're in their 40s for sure. I'm
Yeah,
only on episode 11. Like I gotta start 11 tonight.
but yeah, it's pretty damn good. And for like reference as to who's on it, Matt Mercer. Okay, I'll describe this in a way that our audience will understand. Walter from SMT4 is the DM slash the second voice of Kanji. Uh, Akihiko is one of the party members, as well as Rise, um, the first voice of Theodore, Margaret's current voice, uh, Jonathan from SMT4, and Teddy's current voice, and also the lady who sings all of the good Silent Hill songs guests in one episode, so that's neat. And Will Wheaton shows up too, because he's around.
Hold on. Rather than the woman that sings the good Silent Hill songs, Angel from Digital Devil Saga.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Just a complete the
Yes.
thing.
So yeah, and actually too, like even they talk. I think they talked in an episode or whatever. Like half of them are like in Fire Emblem Fates. A few of them did stuff for Final Fantasy Type Zero, and like it's kind of fun because at the start of the stream, since they're all voice actors and they want to promote their stuff, they're like, "Oh yeah, like so and so that I do voices in comes out today," and stuff like that's really neat. And sometimes even like they'll do voices or whatever that you'll recognize. Like since Matt Mercer's DMing, he's been doing all the NPC voices and all like stuff like that. And some of it's like, yeah, I recognize that voice from Pillars of Eternity and stuff like that. And even actually something that's really cute is starting around episode 19 or 18, they make an announcement. They're just like, oh yeah, Obsidian just completely gave us the okay for using the Pillars of Eternity soundtrack on the stream as background music. So they just have straight up Pillars battle themes going on and stuff like that, which is really neat because it fits the tone perfectly. So
Yeah, I gotta look forward to that.
it's pretty good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Like I got nothing else more to say about it other than like
Oh yeah,
it sh-
without yeah,
it shows how cool role playing can be, and like it seems like the nerdiest dumb shit ever, but then like you actually like see how it's making like it makes an actual really good story, and like it feels like you're just sitting at the table with a bunch of people having a lot of fun and developing their characters, and you go through their struggles with them. It's great. I
a
love it.
lot of credit to Matthew Mercer for the incredible descriptions and acting he does for all the NPCs.
It is incredible how like he can just like DMing like I've been DMing or whatever like a current game that Zach is participating in and a bunch of other people too, and like DMing is like if you want to test your improv skills, DM a tabletop game because it yeah, like shit will just happen that's completely unexpected, and you just need to come up with ideas like that. And like even like every NPC or whatever, just developing a personality and making them stand out and be like an actual thing other than just a flat piece of cardboard is so damn hard. And he manages to like just create and flesh out characters on a dime. It's incredible, and like in such a smooth way that you can't tell what he planned out before they started playing and like what actually just started to happen as a result of
Yeah.
the player characters making decisions and doing stuff.
I still wonder if I mean I'm not going to give away too much because I want people to watch it, but I wonder if Chlorota was planned before he introduced him because of the way they found Chlorota.
Yeah, like stuff like that is weird.
Yeah.
um it's yeah, like wondering how I don't know, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Critical Role.
Yeah, it's good. But That's not the only tabletop related thing that's been on our minds, is it?
Yeah, well, we don't have a fancy name for it, and also we're not. It's not public, so no one else knows. But yeah, like I've been DMing like I said, I've been DMing a game for Zach, Antinomy, a few other people from Twitter and various places, and we have like a fairly large group, and we've just been going through and playing some Dungeon World, which is kind of like a very simplified, very basic tabletop system that is meant for like just doing some shorter, more off the cuff stuff, and like it's a lot less number crunchy than other systems. It's kind of meant for more casual play, I suppose. But it's hailed often as like one of the best systems, if only because it's very free form and open for.
It's definitely less intimidating.
It's more. I think it's been described to me by people that know a lot more what they're talking about than me. It's more for story. It's more of like a medium for storytelling than actual like gaming. Like there's not much like dungeon crawly tile based combat sort of stuff going on, which some there are other games that go way harder into that sort of thing. Something that actually a friend of mine brought to my attention that he just pointed out and I thought it was kind of interesting is if you look at something like D&D or Pathfinder, any of these other systems, like Shadowrun, whatever, a lot of the rules are essentially based on deciding combat stuff and like it's kind of funny because it's supposed to be a role-playing thing about telling a story, but so much of it revolves around like the combat gameplay element sort of thing. With Dungeon World, that's still the case where it's like most of the rules are in regards to like combat and leveling up and stuff like that. But if you look at it overall as like a total rule thing, it's a lot more even in terms of like just actual role playing and giving the player characters freedom, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And hey, you're a pretty good DM yourself.
Oh, I try. It's hard. Okay, so like
And I don't think I make it very easy for you when I do certain things you probably aren't expecting.
yeah, like making deals with demons that I was expecting to not go that way. Okay, actually, see, this is part of like everyone that we're playing with is pretty new to the whole tabletop thing in general. So like, I've read up on the rules and I kind of am guiding people along as it goes. And like, this is my, it's not my first time DMing, I guess, just because like I tested the waters with some shorter campaigns with some other people. But I'm definitely not a professional. I'm very much an amateur DM, still trying to kind of figure out things, but I've been doing a fairly decent job as I've been told by people. At least the players are having fun, so whatever. Um, but how do I put this? Like, it'll definitely, like I said, it tests your improv skills a lot. A lot of the times you will have to do preparation and stuff, and you simply don't know if your preparation will even pay off. Like, there are things that like you prepare for or like plan out, and they just don't come to fruition because a player decides that they don't want to do something, or they decide to go a different way than what you expect, and it's just how it goes. That's kind of the fun of the tabletop stuff is like the players and DMs kind of all join together to create a story, and like it's kind of bizarre how well that actually turns out and how like it's a clusterfuck most of the time, but like it's very shocking how good of a story can come out of it actually. And like I think of certain examples with your character even where an offhand comment about like a horse dying and like thinking about mortality led to like this weird sort of foreshadowing when your character almost actually died later in that session.
Yeah.
And then also too like in the last session that we just played the other day, um taking a deal with a demon and already having horrible ramifications on the party because of that, which I did not
That happened
completely intend.
naturally.
That happened completely naturally that I in no way instigated. Like it just kind of happened. Um and stuff like that makes for really good stories that actually are really fun to take part in and see happen. Like I actively look forward to when we can do these sort of like sessions just because I want to see what happens next and I'm planning half of it, you know?
Yeah.
um like even stuff like I planned for like a I planned for like a sort of like pseudo boss fight thing that I expected the party was gonna run into. They completely diffused the situation just by talking it through. And like stuff like that, I think is really neat, and it keeps me on the edge of my seat because I don't know what these fuckers are ever gonna do. Like, one moment they're, you know, resolving religious conflicts peacefully. The other moment, they're desecrating the holy orc ritual grounds and like killing policemen. Like
Oh no, we're
it's
definitely the heroes.
you're definitely the heroes.
We've
So
done nothing wrong.
yeah, it's you've had your moments. Mistakes were made
A bit.
a bit, but our first like campaign story arc kind of resolved. It involved a necromancer and bringing him to justice, or at least prevent him from doing some bad things, and like player characters did some pretty fucked up stuff along the way, but overall things went okay, and yeah. So I'm curious to
It's
see
been a
where the
lot of
rest of
fun.
yeah, I'm curious to see where the rest of the story goes. Like I have like vague plans, but I need to go back to the drawing board and kind of figure out where it's going to go from here.
It's something that I've always wanted to do too. Like for a very long time, I wanted to get into this, and between watching Critical Role and then being a part of your game, like I went out and bought 3 sets of dice, and I bought like a starter book for like 2 different games, and I'm like, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to be into this right now.
Like I'm at that point where like I'm familiar enough with the Dungeon World system as like a thing, and also like even I home rule a lot of the shit, like just because we have a lot of like new people, and I don't want to make it. I want to make it as least intimidating as possible. A lot of stuff like armor, I'm just leaving out of the equation, just kind of rebalancing things around that. Like equipment load, we're kind of playing off the cuff and not really like. Basically, we're trying to take down the number counting and tracking stuff as much as possible for the people playing, just to get the story to keep going along and keep things flowing. And so far, it's been working out. Like there's some awkward moments where it's like, oh, this person probably should take some less damage because they're more heavily armored, but other than that, I think it's been fine so far. Um, but yeah, it's been going pretty neat. We had our first character deaths last session, which added to the story. Um, but like, yeah, oh yeah, I was going with this. But like, I've gotten familiar enough with like the Dungeon World system, and like, I don't know much about other systems, but like, I can kind of see where the limitations are. Like, it's very much so meant for more like one shot sessions where like you play one, like you do like a little mini adventure in one session and then never come back to it, or like you play like a 2 to 3 game session and then don't come back to it. Like for long scale campaigns, it's not the greatest thing, if only because it only goes up to like a level 10 level cap, which if you play by the regular rules, you will reach pretty quickly, and then from then on, you kind of need to keep either like redoing your character or making new characters just to keep it going as like it goes by the book. So like who knows, maybe after this is done, like we if people want, we could do like a move on to like D&D proper or something, but yeah, it's been going pretty well.
Yeah.
I got nothing more to add on to that, but
No, yeah, I think people should if you're hesitant about tabletop role playing, I think you should definitely look into it and maybe don't judge it so quickly as something that you're not
I
into.
was full on one of those people all the way through high school, even that like I tried it a couple times just because friends like pressured me into it. And like even then I was like, this is the nerdiest stupid shit I say, as I pulled out my copy of Final Fantasy 3 and level grinded my characters more. Um but yeah, like it's like it's a good way for nerds to socialize, for one, I think. And also two, I think it's a very good creative outlet in a way that like isn't it's because it's a group effort, it's not as hard as like actively going out and like writing a story or something. A lot of the time stuff will be really tropey and generic, but like you can make it as fun or as serious and stuff like that as you want to. And like for example, we have an elf named Barak that's currently like currently assisting the party, and they're searching for chaos emeralds and shit like that. Like we've had fun with the world lore and how shit works, and it's been just a blast to play through. But yeah, like give it an honest to God try. Like find some people that would take it. I don't want to say take it seriously, but like want to have like an honest attempt at having fun with it and just like pick up like I guess I can link to it below like all the Dungeon World like rules and the system itself is open source and free. So like if you want to pick up Dungeon World and just kind of learn how to do that and then figure out who wants to run the game as the DM and then get some players together and just do like a quick little adventure thing to try it out, like do it and just it might be awkward at first and like it's a learning process as with any tabletop or board game type thing, but it's a lot of fun once it gets going, I'd say.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess that's enough tabletop stuff. I got nothing more to add to the subject. um I guess we could move on to emails.
Oh, one quick thing before we move on to that. We mentioned we weren't going to talk a lot about the direct, but did want to quickly bring up Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Oh yeah, it's censored, so now we can't buy it. No.
Oh
Um,
no.
so, if you're
Yeah.
mad about that, fuck you. By the way.
Do you wanna take this one?
Yeah. No. No. Me and Zach were just talking just because Tokyo Mirage Sessions got revealed as like the whole English thing, and actually like I think a lot of people didn't expect that you would even get a physical version of that over here just because it's probably not going to sell that much. But yeah, if you want a physical copy of that game, I recommend you probably just pre-order that because knowing Nintendo and how they like to print RPGs and niche releases in general, probably not going to be too many prints of that game. So
Yeah, I don't expect it to be super common.
I don't even have a Wii U. I think I'm gonna pre-order it just because. I mean, even I was like 5 seconds away from doing the same for Xenoblade X, honestly. Just because it's like I don't think many of these are gonna exist, but I think that game's been pretty fine.
Yeah, they pushed Xenoblade X as like a big release, so I think they maybe had a bit more confidence in it. But like this is gonna be sub only, and it was kind of not talked about for a while. I just have a feeling that I could be wrong, but I have a feeling it's not going to be super common. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, maybe get on that
So
soon.
the people actually mad at Nintendo of America about censor whatever the fuck, please actually don't buy the game so the people that actually want to play it and are older than 5 years old can buy a
Oh,
copy.
oh.
Torrential downpour, whatever. Oh god, fuck. The internet's terrible. Why do we go on it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I just want to say, when you have a movement and you name it "Burn the Treehouse,"
I didn't know about that.
yeah,
Burn
like
the tree out.
I think I think that's I think that's I think that's symbolic of the level of maturity going on with those people that get mad about that sort of thing.
Oh.
Uh, remember when discussions about localizations were like actually about fun things, and then like angry people? Oh well, whatever.
Remember when anything was about fun things and then angry people?
Oh yeah, that's true. Thanks, shitty people on the internet.
Anyway.
Moving on to later topics. Hashtag rebuild the treehouse.
Oh,
I-
plant the new seed.
Make a second treehouse. Um, Sony first party games are filled with memes now too. Um, but yeah, I guess we can move on to emails.
Yeah.
All right. Uh, okay. So this one is from Julian, who you may know as the person you brutally murdered our last play session of Dungeon
No
World.
idea what you're talking about. I was confused at the time.
Oh, yep. That's what they all say. So this is written in Comic Sans. Um, if you could make an OC and make it the villain of any video game universe, what would it be and what universe would it be in?
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. This is actually a question I'm taking a lot more seriously than I expected to.
Yeah, same. The minute I was like, "Oh, here's a stupid question. What's it gonna?" And then you said it. I'm like, "Hmm."
Hold on. I'm gonna look something up. Okay, so I can't find anything through a quick Google search, so I'm sure I'm the first person that has ever thought up of this idea. But we need a Sonic villain called Blank the Snail that is just like the complete nemesis of Sonic and just is really slow but powerful to match Sonic's like quick but fragile nature. And they'll just be perfect foils that bounce off of each other. Because you know what Sonic the Hedgehog as an IP really needs is another character.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
There's a better answer that I could come up with if I wasn't so tired.
I think I would make a new Zelda villain, and I would make it.
Not Ganondorf.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where I was going. I was gonna make it like Dark Man, and he's gonna be a
The
demon. That's
superhero?
Ganondorf. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I actually.
I was trying to make a joke about Demise, and it flopped real hard. Demise was a shitty villain. Moving on.
And that's so sad too because like Zelda games have a pretty good track record of like when they bring in new shit that's not Ganondorf of making it cool. Like
Yeah.
you have Majora, you have Vati, who's like my favorite Zelda villain probably actually. I love
Yeah,
Vati.
supposed to be.
Um and then like Zant even, who like Ganondorf kind of comes in and makes it not as cool if he was on his own, but like Zant's really cool.
See, I don't know about that. I think Zant is even better because he gets usurped immediately at the end by Ganondorf as the real villain.
Yeah, I could see
Spoilers for
that.
Twilight Princess HD that just came out. Whoops.
Oh, whoops.
But yeah, no, I like that Zant turned out actually kind of pathetic at the end.
I like that he was pathetic. I just wish it was someone else other than Ganondorf that was involved.
Fair enough.
Like,
But
like it would have been so much cooler if, like, it's like, oh, the flaming head man that he talked to was actually Majora or something, which they never would have done. But
well, I don't know. The Fused Shadow kind of maybe looks a little similar. I don't
oh
know.
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, Demise was just proto Ganondorf, evil demon man, not interesting at all.
I like that they gave an explanation. Excuse me. Just tonight. No. I like that they finally did use him to give an explanation as to why Ganondorf always comes back, but other than that, he's actually really boring on his own.
And it's a shame too, because Girahim was such a great villain. I love
Hmm.
Girahim. Like you could have just had him.
Probably.
Anyway, that's I would make Demise again.
Actually, fuck me. You know who no one ever fucking remembers? Remember the Whale's Nightmare from Link's Awakening? Man, that's my second favorite Zelda game, but
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's not a great antagonist.
No.
I guess the people from the Oracle games are okay. They're not super memorable. I don't even remember their names, honestly, but they're fun fights, I guess.
Onyx, I think, was one.
Yeah, one was Onyx. I don't remember the lady.
Me neither.
I think it started with a V.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It's okay, because Seasons is a way better game than Ages.
I played Ages first though, so I like that one more.
Oh, well, it's okay. We can all be wrong about some things.
I'm wrong about a lot of things, and you know it.
Okay. Okay. Shadow the Hedgehog Defender, no.
Oh
Do you actually like that game? Wait, hold on.
no, no, Shadow the
Okay,
Hedgehog is
okay,
awful.
okay, I thought I stumbled onto something and I was really concerned. Um,
No,
um, and then also he asked, "What's your opinion on pineapple pizza?" And it's okay.
never had it.
I am neutral on pineapple pizza. I know that this is a raging battle that people on the internet have been freaking out on about for like ages upon ages, but like,
I've seen it.
yeah, I'll have it like if it's around, but like I'll never get it specifically. They're way better types of pizza, but
I'm all about ham, mushrooms, and pepperoni.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I for one just put toothpaste and sprinkles on.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Julian. So this one is from Julian. And he says, Rasen and friends, if you were given a foot-long hot dog and you had to share it with any important historical figure, who would you share it with? Also, what condiments do you think that person would want on the hot dog? Moving on to the next email.
Okay.
Uh, this is from Julian. And
Oh, good. Haven't heard from him in a
yeah,
while.
yeah. This is Rasen and friends. Let's say that a teacher gave you a timed in-class essay exam. You have to write about any topic that's in any video game and have you have to show your knowledge about the idea you chose. What game would you choose, and what would you discuss in your essay regarding your chosen game? Note, you cannot prepare for this exam ahead of time. You may only use what you remember as of right now. I would write about human augmentation from Deus Ex.
I would write about the relationship between people on through the internet from Dot Hack.
Oh, that's actually a good one. Fuck.
I've actually really wanted to talk about it for a while. I've been trying to think something through.
That's probably one of the strongest parts of those games.
Yeah, it's the same that he specified video game because the sign anime deals with the most, but the games also heavily deal with internet friendship and interaction and how it differs from real life. So
Haseo is one of my actually Haseo is my favorite character in that entire like series franchise thing because like he has a very relatable character arc, I feel, for people that have been on the internet long enough in terms of like losing contact with people.
oh god, that's super strong. Yeah.
Like it's relatable in terms of like sometimes you have people that are around and then they just don't show up ever again and it's like fuck, I really liked that person.
Yeah.
I think
Have you?
that's
Sorry.
something anyone on the internet has like had at least happen once if you're been around for a while.
Have you watched Sign?
I have not. I'm more on the GU side of things for Dot Hack just because
Fair enough, but
uh
I highly recommend you go and check out Sign.
like one of my first experiences watching Adult Swim was just like when Roots was on and then I picked up like I didn't like pick up the games really, like I just kind of played through them with a friend and like watched the rest of what I missed. Like I watched a friend play through like the first game kinda, and then like I kind of YouTubed the rest of them. So actually, like if those games were cheaper, I would pick them up. But yeah, I want to go through IMAC and Signs at some point before I die.
I would definitely recommend going through Signs because I watched it when I was young and I liked it, and then I watched it again years later, and I picked up on like a lot of the heavier themes that were in it. And I don't just mean like people go, oh, it's darker and more dramatic, but like it it deals really heavily with like the different reasons why people are drawn to MMOs and online communities and how everyone else is they're sort of using it to fill something that's missing in their life and all these different things it's used and like there's a subplot about someone that wants to meet up in the real world and the other person's like that's not really what I come to here for.
I
Like
can
there's a lot
relate
of
to that
things.
so damn well too.
Yeah,
I have
there's a
had
lot
that
of
literal
things.
situation come up in my life. No, but that's the same gig with like Sign is to IMAC what Roots is to GU, right? Like it's a prequel thing.
Not entirely, no.
Okay.
Chronologically, yeah, but Signs kind of stands on its own.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because I think that's one thing that I've heard. I've heard the thing with Roots is that you finish it and it's like, oh, that's not a
Yeah,
complete story.
continue
Um,
the story in GU.
yeah. And if you start
Yeah,
GU without watching Roots, man, that probably is really confusing. Um, but yeah,
oh,
I've heard Sign is the better of the two series. I don't even know if
yeah.
like there's a third series or anything. I know there's like a third generation of like that.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, it's bad. Okay.
It's real bad.
Okay.
It's real bad.
Oh, that's
But yeah,
Dot Hack was
this is
never amazing, but that's sad to
no,
hear.
yeah. Dot Hack. It meant a lot to me when I was younger, but I will not pretend that it's like fantastic writing, except for maybe some moments of Sign. But yeah, no, you could go into Sign, and the way it works is that the characters of Sign, their story ends within Sign, but like the overall story of like the world and that stuff, it's only kind of hinted at in Sign, and that's really what continues in the games. But you can just watch Sign and have it end there.
Time to read the prequel light novels.
I have.
Oh, are they good?
They're okay.
Yeah, that's kind of everything that's Dot Hack. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. It has some good moments, or it's just complete shit.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's my answer to that because I've been actually trying to write something about dot hack, but I'm struggling with it. So that's my answer.
Here's one from Joe. Also, thanks, Julian, for the emails. Here's one from Joe, and he says, "Hey, Rasen plus Gus, I have a list of my top 5 anime, and I'd like to know all your opinions on them. Number 5, Psychopaths. Haven't watched.
Haven't watched.
Number 4, Trigun. It's pretty good.
Haven't watched.
It's just I'd recommend it. It's been a while for me, but it's just pretty good. Number 3, Cowboy Bebop. Yep, that's a classic. I need to watch. I need to rewatch that because that's another one I haven't watched since I was younger, and I now that I'm older, like same with like what you said with Sign. I feel like now that I'm older, I'd appreciate Cowboy Bebop more.
Yeah, I've seen 3 episodes of it, and I liked what I saw, but I've been meaning to get around to watching the whole thing.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. Full Metal Alchemist, original plus Brotherhood.
Haven't watched.
I like I like Full Metal Alchemist a lot. I'm not like a big fan of it, I guess. I've been meaning to go back and rewatch because I've heard some people say that like I'm one of those people that I liked Brotherhood more. Um, and like recently, someone was like, "Oh, you should go back and watch because the original series has some things over Brotherhood," and I'm like, "Oh, maybe I'll check it out." But check both of them out again just because like I want to kind of compare and contrast, watch them side by side sort of deal. But yeah, like no time, so I haven't. I've been going through Gundam more so than anything else, just because I want to get done with the main continuity of that before moving on and losing interest. Um, Number 1, Madoka Magica. Have not watched.
Pretty good.
I've heard like I know the premise and kind of the idea behind it, and I think it's neat. It's just
Yeah.
like it's one of those things where it's like kind of it's a look at a genre that like I myself do not have much familiarity or attachment to. So I'm
Yes.
not super interested in it, but like it looks pretty neat and looks I respect what it did. I
I
guess.
feel like it's the kind of show that people come at it from 2 different directions. I know a lot of people like it because a lot of people like it at kind of like that base level. I only like it in terms of like a deconstruction of a genre and watching horrible things happen to people, and that's enjoyable to me. I like
That's a back of
deconstructions
the
of
box
genres and
quote.
horrible things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
So I enjoyed that show a lot. I have no interest in any of the larger. I know they've made movies and manga, and I have no interest in any of that. But it's a solid show to watch.
All right, so that's Joe's email. Okay, so this one's from Saul. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Uh, Here's my question for the next episode. Do you feel compelled to complete a video game to consider it done? I know that as I've gotten older and my free time has gotten shorter, I don't have the time to complete games anymore. This is especially true for JRPGs, which can take so long to beat. I used to be a completionist, but now I have to convince myself just to play a game until I get bored or swamped with side quests, then move on. It's led to me completing less games, but ultimately playing more variety of games as well. So how do you handle it? Do you just play one game to completion, or let your level of engagement with the title dictate how you play? I love the show. Keep up the great work. So I can relate to this a lot, especially just like during the summer I'll definitely like go from game to game to game like I used to do when I was younger, but like when I'm actually like I don't like to admit it and I try to work around it as best as I can, but like yeah, like my work schedule and like the amount of homework or like whatever projects or paper or whatever the fuck I need to do that week does kind of dictate what I play and how engaged I get with it. Like it depends on what I'm playing at the time, though. Like for right now, I don't have anything currently that like I feel the need to really go through and I feel really engaged in. So I've just kind of been gravitating from one thing to the other. So like I said, I've been playing a lot of like just random mobile stuff. Like probably the most amount of like stuff I've been playing gameplay wise or whatever is between calls at work and like between classes when I'm on campus. I'll be like playing XCOM on my phone. um, and then other than that, like yeah, just like whatever like little PC thing or whatever the fuck on Steam that I just want to sink a little bit of time into or whatever I can afford here and there. Like a lot of times I'll just be like, I want to play something, so I'll turn on Downwell on Steam or like a little bit of Super Hot, or even continue with my second Bloodborne character and just go through one area and then turn it off. The last game I got really invested in, rather, was probably when I got my PS4 and I got my copy of Bloodborne around like Black Friday. And I like it was finals week and I was busy as fuck, but it's like whenever I had free time, just Bloodborne. um,
Yeah.
and like that was when the DLC had just come out too, so I went through all that and like I spent probably a good 45 hours of like I think I beat Bloodborne in like a week and a half, and 40 like it was 45 hours of like that week and a half were just Bloodborne play. So like it depends on the game. Like when Record Breaker came out, I did like half the Triangulum arc in probably like one or two sittings, um, which I think kind of burnt me out a little bit because like I still haven't beat Triangulum arc. Like I am literally like probably an hour away from beating the Triangulum arc. I just haven't actually done the thing yet. Persona Q, I'm still in the fourth dungeon, and sometimes I'll pick at that. But yeah, I used to be a completionist, and like just as I've gotten older, I kind of realized I need to let that go. Um, that being said, I'm kind of used to that, and I'm kind of fine with that because this is like the second time in my life I'd say I'd had this happen where I had a similar kind of gap in how I played stuff just because when I was younger and just had way more free time, like the first 2 years of high school when like I kind of had cash to spend and like I kind of had more time to play games and stuff than when like I got more busy later on with the rest of high school. Um, I used to be really bad with like if I wanted to play a game, I'd want to just play through the whole series. And like the one that I distinctly remember is like, oh, I kind of want to play Resident Evil 4, but like I also kind of want to just play all of the games leading up to it because I want to feel like I've experienced it properly. And to an extent, I still kind of do that if stuff is accessible. Like, for whatever reason, the other day, I'm like, I kind of want to play through those Wizardry dungeon crawler games, but like, I want to start at one because I know for a fact if I start at like eight or whatever the fuck I just downloaded on Steam, it's going to be super new and have a lot of features that aren't the older ones, and then it'll be impossible for me to play and enjoy those. So, yeah, stuff like that.
That that's the exact thing that I actually wrote an email into Cathedral of Shadows once about.
Oh,
I wrote an email in and you guys discussed it about how I have that problem where when I want to play a game, I want to play the whole series.
yeah.
And I always will start and then stop halfway through and not get to the one that I wanted to play.
Yeah, the one that makes me think of this is I used to like I mean there's series that like I kept up with and did stuff and all that, and like it would drive me nuts if there's like I can't get that one. This might be part of the reason why I never got super into Kingdom Hearts because it's like can't play Birth by Sleep, fuck it, don't care anymore. Also I didn't like Kingdom Hearts 2 very much when that came out, but I have reasons. Um, no, but like yeah, like for the longest time it's like yeah, I'm a Metal Gear fan. It drives me nuts that I can't play it drives me nuts that I can't play Portable Ops rather. And like I know it's supposed to be bad, and now that like I have a computer that can emulate PSP games fine, I've played it and boy it's bad. But like for the longest time it's like man, it really pisses me off. I don't have like 100% playthrough rate on the games in the series I like. Um Resident Evil was another one where it's like, yeah, I'll just pick up everything. And then like that kind of dropped off when like 6 came out and I'm like, I think I'm done. um I think I'm fine with not having everything. Silent Hill was one where like I played one, two, three, and bit of four. I've never finished four, but I actually like Silent Hill 4 a lot. But I'm like, yeah, I don't feel the need to really play the other ones. I'm fine watching them. That's kind of a thing that like I've, especially as I gotten more into the YouTube thing. Like I'm, for a lot of games, if someone who like I trust their taste in plays it and does like a playthrough of it or something, like I'm fine experiencing a game that way, which I know a lot of people aren't, but like for something like a Telltale game, I feel totally comfortable just watching a let's play for it if I don't feel like picking it up myself.
Yeah. I think that's a valid Especially today, that's definitely a valid way of experiencing a thing if you don't want to go through it yourself.
Yeah.
I know I'm not necessarily the kind of person to do that myself. Usually if I'm watching like a let's play, I'll want to play the game already. But I don't really get I feel like the attitude of you shouldn't do that. That's not experiencing the game for real has merit, but it's also kind of outdated because well, maybe they don't want to experience it themselves. They want to just watch it, see what it's about and then move on.
Yeah, I think it definitely varies from game to game. Like depending on how, because I mean like there are some games where no two playthroughs of that are possibly ever going to be the same. Actually, you know what? Even then, and I think Antinomi talked about this the last time he was on, which was 2 episodes ago. So I made it sound like it was fucking centuries. But like Chip and Ironicus are two let's players that were from Something Awful and then kind of do the whole YouTube thing. And they have a really damn good Let's Play of Watch Dogs that is actually probably better, more informative, and more entertaining than actually just playing through Watch Dogs on its own. I say this as someone that has a copy of Watch Dogs, unfortunately. um, but yeah, like a really good Let's Play can actually be a more entertaining and better experience than the actual game that they're playing in some regards.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. No, but, I definitely don't complete games as much as I used to when I was younger. I tend to, I tend to play games until I feel comfortable, or, like, getting a sense and feel for it, and then, like, I'll put things aside. But I do go back to a lot of the games I don't finish and work through that backlog. Like, Persona Q, like, it's just a matter of time before it's like, okay, I'm just gonna sit down and just go through this. Same with all the EO games that I bought and put like 1 hour into. Strange Journey has been like that for 2.5 years. I've had a save journey save file going. I'll beat that
Same.
eventually. Yeah, gosh, that game is so fucking slow. I don't. I know a lot of people really love that game. I'm sorry. Like, I know I'm supposed to be like the mainline guy, but like, fuck, Strange Journey is just so slow. I'm probably disappointing someone.
It's all right.
uh,
You like SMT1, so it balances out.
mhm.
I also like SMT1, so I don't know what that
SMT2,
means, but
I need to go through SMT2 at some point too. I've only put
I'm
like a couple
I'm
hours into
halfway
that.
through it. Like I started a file about a year ago, and I'm like halfway through it. I'll get around to finishing that soon.
Yeah. Actually, this is a good kind of a segue. Dark Souls 3 is coming out, and like I need to play Demons. I feel a need to like play Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2 Vanilla and Scholar of the First Sin before it comes out.
Do it
Yeah. The only
this
like
month. Do it all.
yeah, I'm trying. The only thing is like Demon Souls, I like playing with a person who will be really upset at me if like I start playing without her. So,
So so you got to do the worst idea possible. Play Dark Souls 2 when you're by yourself, and then when you're with them, play Demon Souls.
yeah.
It definitely won't screw you up. I promise. It will screw you up. Is what I'm
Okay.
getting at. There's like little, there's slight differences that going between the different games of that series will definitely throw you off on.
Yeah. Well, if someone that may or may not be listening to this was less of a little slow bot
No,
and we
I
started
don't.
playing Demon Souls soon, then maybe I'd be able to play it before Dark Souls 3 came out. But that's on her. So, anyways, um so yeah, there's that. Um I'm just making sure that we answered every part of this email. Um but yeah, like if you're not feeling engaged with the game, Zach, will you push through just to complete it, or will you just feel like will you just move on? I think you kind of answered this already, but
Yeah, I'll yeah, I used to try to finish them, but if I'm not feeling engaged, I've got so many games I need to play at all times. I'll move on or I'll drop it, but it bothers me when I do that, but I just have to do it.
yeah. All right, thank you, Saul, for the email. This is from Gonzalo. And he says, "Hi, Rasen and Zach. Hope you're doing well. My question is, what are your favorite short RPGs, and are there any weird games coming out this year that have you interested?" That is all for now. Can't wait for the new episode. Bye. Short RPG. Well, Undertale was good. Undertale was, I guess I beat that since the last episode recorded, huh? Undertale's good. I didn't love it as much as a lot of people did, but it did. The one thing that Undertale left me with is like, man, I want more short JRPG games because I think it's kind of a shame that that's a kind of a genre that's now synonymous with loads upon loads of content and long games. Other than like sandbox games, it's like sandboxes and JRPGs and like I guess MMOs you can throw on there too. It's like the time sink genres of games, and like I don't think it has to be that way for JRPGs. I think that it'd be nice if like we had a nice little like I wish we had more variety. Like I want games that are more in line with like Super Nintendo RPGs where it's like some of those were only like 15 hours long even. Um Maybe not 15, maybe more like 20 in some cases, but like I think some shorter JRPGs would be nice to have just cuz like now that I'm older and have more responsibilities, like that'd be more up my alley.
Definitely. I'm actually struggling to think of some.
I like see that's the thing because like the only things I can think of are like Final Fantasy 1 I can blow through in probably 15 hours. I blew through the I've been, like I think I talked before. I've been trying to make an attempt to play through all the Final Fantasy games. Speaking of completionism of the series, no, um, but like yeah, I know Final Fantasy 1 well enough, at least the Dawn of Souls version, that like with emulator speed turned on, I can play through Final Fantasy 1 all the way in like half a day, and I did. Like stuff like that. Like I think it's nice to just have something that's like 10 to 15, maybe 20 hours depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, that's another thing RPGs should have. Speed up function's always nice. Um,
I mean, are we talking strictly JRPG, like
I
turn-based?
don't think so. Like
Because I guess the Souls games can be gone through pretty quickly.
Souls game, like Demon Souls and Bloodborne, I think are probably the shortest. Like for a first playthrough, Demon Souls and Bloodborne are like I think the shorter ones with it going about like 30 hours 30 hours this each. Or, I can't
Um,
pronounce shit. 30
yeah,
hours ish each, I should say.
Demon Souls, I would say more like 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Um, okay. Yeah, like Dark Souls and from what I've heard Dark Souls 2 is the same way. It's like those are like 60 hour long games and then like you get used to it and then it's like, oh, that's I can cut that in half, no problem sort of deal.
Dark Souls 2 is definitely the longest. I spent so long on that game.
See, I want to play both I actually kind of want to make like a video comparison of like both of those and just kind of like the different design changes and stuff just because I think that'd be
Yeah.
interesting. Um, but like, man, that sounds like it's gonna be long. So,
Yeah. If you play both of them, that's a long. Yeah.
like, I don't know if I should play one and play the one other right after, if I should play them side by side, and
I think the changes are. I think if you don't play them right one after the other or side by side, yeah, I don't. I think the only way to really notice all the changes are to play them side by side or play them a lot. Because
yeah,
like the people that recognize the changes in Scholar of the First Sin easily are the ones that played Dark Souls 2 a lot,
okay,
because they're most of the changes are minor and just enemy placement thing.
yeah,
Um, except for a few major locations where they definitely changed a lot. But yeah, I like if you play Dark Souls 2 once and then wait like a month or two and play Scholar of the First Sin, you won't be able to tell all the differences right away, I think.
yeah. Figured.
I say this as someone who did not personally play through Dark Souls 2, but I did later watch like a let's play of it. I when my Dark Souls 2 experience when I went in blind was Scholar of the First Sin, so
All right, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, Souls games. Those are short.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I can't think of other short RPGs really.
Yeah, I mean like you said some of the Super Nintendo stuff. I know a lot
I
of people can Chrono Trigger is considered one of the
Yeah,
shorter.
I'd say Chrono Trigger. That was one that kind of came to mind, but that one came to mind, but then I forgot how long that actually is, so I didn't say it. But yeah, you probably throw that in there. Um, I know Tales of the Tempest, which is like apparently the worst Tales game and is like a super shit game, and like the fan translation group that translated that did it as an April Fool's product because like or an April Fool's project because like it's bad, notoriously awful, is only 10 hours long, and that was actually one of the main complaints about that game. Um, yeah, other than that, I got nothing. So that's short RPG talk. But other than that, um, any other weird games coming out this year that have you interested? So my answer for this is I had two, but I just thought of a third one. Um, Two games I was really excited about coming out this year were Firewatch and Unravel, and it turns like Unravel kind of got bad to mediocre reviews. So that kind of made me sad. So I'm probably not going to pick that one up ever. But Firewatch, I've heard very mixed reaction to, and that's a game that interested me ever since that they were first teasing it. So I might pick it up on sale. Who knows? But then the third game is Torment Tides of Numenera, which is a spiritual successor to the Western RPG Planescape Torment, which is coming out, done by a lot of old classic WRPG developers, going back into the saddle and created a new game, kind of part of that WRPG renaissance that's been happening as of late. That one looks really neat. Um, Seems to have kind of like a more of like a central morality theme thing going on, kind of like Planescape Torment did, where the whole story is about like how much individual lives actually matter in the grand scheme of things, and that's the type of philosophical bullshit I love in my games. So looking forward to that. So yeah, thanks Gonzalo for the email, and yeah, we're clear. Empty inbox.
All right. Ah, that's good
We did
stuff.
it. Sorry that we forgot emails last time.
Yeah.
Hold on, podcast.com sent us an email, and it was a spam message. Let's read it. Hi there, with the number of podcasters and listeners on the rise, growing your podcast and ensuring that it withstands the test of time will help sustain your brand and attract listeners for months, maybe even years to come. I don't want to learn more at podcast.com. Okay, bye.
That was really
Podcast.com.
informative. I don't know how to answer that personally. I think that was more for you.
Yeah. Also, various Netflix, Twitter, and various other accounts because, like I did with the Cathedral of Shadows email, I just use this for when I sign up for things now.
The best idea.
Yep.
Uh,
Well, that was that. Bye, everyone.
bye. Good ending.
Yeah,
Nailed that one.
we did it. Only 5 episodes in. We'll learn eventually.
One of these days, we'll have an actual ending.
One of these days we'll grow up and then we'll make the Daredevil of podcasts.
Well, let me just fall back every time. Kawashitai.
Hashtag burn the podcast.
Oh.